Are you manipulating me right now? A Boku no Hero fan fiction written by Milktye, read by Cole. Summary. Yeah, so maybe I'm a little young. What's with the hating attitude? Izuku rolled his eyes. The man's mouth seemed to just drop further, which must have been a confusing sight for the people who were just getting on the elevator. They're seeing as they all looked startled as well.
Kid, you're holding a fucking gun!
He shouted. Okay, that was just dramatic. Or Izuku just wants a hero license. Everything is fine and dandy as he gaslights and robs his way to one. Then someone dies. Unfortunately, the police don't find murder jolly as he does. Now, Izuku Midoriya really was a reasonable fella, which is why he really didn't see an issue with anything he does, because he's always right.
You a what?
You a 12-year-old kid? You want us to give you a hero license? The woman asked, squinting down at the boy in front of her.
Hey, I'm 14, man! Give me a break!
Izuku said, glaring back at the worker. The woman shook her head in disbelief, which is really just rude, at him. Before pulling out her phone, she held a finger in his face, gesturing for him to stay silent. Yet again, rude as she dialed a number into her phone. Izuku tapped his foot impatiently, because he really has better things to do than wait for HPSC workers to ask him who he was. Which is why he left the woman while she was distracted with whoever she was, and she ended up calling. Not after stealing her keycard, though. Swiping the card to enter the elevator, he'd realized he'd made a crucial mistake. He literally had no idea where the fuck he was and which floor he needed to be. Fuck it, he whispered to himself, hitting a random floor button, which unknowingly ignoring the people in suits who reeled back at his comment. He backed up, not wanting to get in the way of the other people who may need to get on to, because he's kind like that. But as he did, he finally noticed the looks he was getting, which, fair enough, a random teenager dressed unprofessionally in an office building might be confusing.
What the hell?
Izuku squinted as he looked around, searching for the person to match the voice, which he did when he found a man to his left staring at him with a confused expression. Does anyone in this damn building have any manners? What are you staring at me, eh? He asked the man.
What do you mean, why? You're...
The man trailed off, gesturing up and down at Izuku with his hand. So maybe I'm a little young. What's with the hating attitude? Izuku rolled his eyes. The man's mouth seemed to drop further, which must have been a confusing sight for the people who were just getting on the elevator, seeing as they all looked startled as well.
Kid, you're holding a fucking gun!
He shouted. Okay, that was just dramatic. While he may or may not have a gun, it didn't even have real bullets in it. Clearly this guy must have been new to the HPSC if this is the first time he's seen someone holding a gun. Unfortunately, Izuku didn't really want to get security called on him before he could get a license. "No, I'm not," he told the man straight-faced. He scoffed as he heard Izuku's words, looking at him accusatively, which is so dramatic, might he add, because he's done nothing wrong. In return, Izuku widened his eyes, displaying innocence. "Yes, you are. You have a gun in your hand. I can see it." He swung his hands around, motioning to the gun sporadically. "Can you calm down? You're being really dramatic," Izuku asked, crossing his arms over his chest in disapproval. "How am I being dramatic? You're the one with the gun!" "You're being really loud and frankly rude. Can you stop causing a scene in public?" He held the bridge of his nose in his hands, staring in disappointment. "I'm causing a scene? Are you for real?" The man laughed in disbelief. God, now everyone in the elevator was looking at them. This is so embarrassing for Izuku. This fool is ruining his reputation. "You always do this. It's not the time, Jeremy." Izuku seethed, glaring at the man. "My name isn't Jeremy. I don't even know you," he screamed back. "I know you have identity issues, but in front of strangers on the elevator is not the time," Izuku scolded, hitting the man's Jeremy, he corrected himself, leg lightly with his gun. The man blanched as the barrel of Izuku's paintball gun rammed into his leg, leaving a definite bruise. I'm gonna have a bruise for weeks. What's wrong with you?" the man demanded to Izuku to answer, although much quieter as to not disrupt the people around him, a task he failed long ago. "Oh my god, I barely tapped you. Stop trying to garner sympathy from the people around us. They have nothing to do with this," Izuku accused the man, not bothering to even make an attempt at lowering his volume. He watched as Jeremy hissed at him before turning his head away and ignoring Izuku finally. "Well, everyone, it was great to see you. Unfortunately, I'll be taking my leave now," the boy told the group of people still in the elevator as he got off on the random floor he'd previously chosen. He whistled as he strolled through the building, watching heads whip around to stare and whispers echo the building. The plan, general idea, had no plan. He had no plan whatsoever. He'd come up with what's to find whoever he thought ranked the highest in commission hierarchy and get a license from them. How he would do it is irrelevant. Luckily, as he strolled down the rows of cubicle and meeting rooms, but as soon as he spotted someone who could make everything a whole lot easier, he threw his plan out the window. "Hey!" Izuku called out like an old friend. Everyone turned their heads to look at the shouting voice, including his target. He stalked over as people moved around him, whispering and occasionally gasping when they noticed what he was holding. "Hey bud, it's your old pal Izuku! Need a favor, come with me!" The man lightly protested, but didn't put up much of a fight as he was dragged, one arm around his neck, into an empty meeting room. As soon as the two fully entered the room, the other man dropped his laid-back act, sending out feathers holding Izuku's arms and legs to the wall. Calm down. I'm not Jesus. Why are you trying to crucify my ass?" He choked, only getting a raised eyebrow and an unimpressed stare in response. "All right, whatever. Guess fun is outlawed in the commission's office, he continued, attempting to put his hands up in surrender, before he realized they were stuck to the wall with feathers.
Who are you?
Hawks demanded, pointing one of his longer feathers that he sharpened like a sword at the boy's neck. I literally, just told you. Do your ears work?
Answer the question,
he demanded, moving the sharp feather forward. Your old pal Izuku! Here to get my hero license, he told him, smiling.
I've never heard of you.
Izuku made tears form in his eyes, and a frown took place on his lips before replying, Of course you haven't. I'm just a quirkless loser. I should have known all your commissioners are like this after last time, he yelled, emotionally sniffling between his sentences to add to the effect.
Huh?
Hawk's restraints became a bit looser as the man faltered.
You guys just never have enough of discriminating, huh?
Massive amounts of tears, simply too many for the average person, rolled down Izuku's face.
No, I support everyone, and that includes everyone but quirkless people. Yeah, I know. Whatever, can I just go?
He requested from the hero, who nodded thoughtlessly, calling his feathers back to his wings. Izuku solemnly left the room while the hero stood in shock, confused by the interaction he just had and news of the first quirkless hero. Only later he would realize his hero license was missing. Aizawa sighed as he watched the kid reel back in laughter like a maniac for the third time in the living room.
What the hell are you doing?
He stated, more than asked, the boy. Izuku, apparently just having noticed him, he was literally there before Izuku came in, how did he not notice, jumped back in shock before calming down at the sight of his adoptive father. Oh, I'm practicing my light Yagami insane laugh, the boy stated happily, holding his hands together and rolling on his heels. The man just sighed. Honestly, he should have picked a different one, but he'd grown too fond of this very insane child.
Why do you need to do that?
Izuku asked him. Hawks! Izuku said plainly, without further explanation, then continued laughing like a maniac.
Please state your name, age, and quirk.
Izuku Midoriya, 14, quirkless, sir. The detective stared in shock at Izuku, his eyes showing his range of emotions, bewilderment, annoyance, disbelief, and pity all directed in a single glance.
I'm sorry.
Honestly, people have really got to stop underestimating people for their quirks. It's okay, Izuku replied, playing up the sadness in his tone.
So, you're being arrested for murder,
the detective told him, seemingly in disbelief at the thought of Izuku committing those crimes. I don't think I am, he replied, stone-faced.
Yes, you are. It says right here.
The detective flipped the clipboard as he was holding, showing some police documents, which was most definitely illegal. Actually, sir, I'm a hero. It was in self-defense, he told the man shyly, rubbing at the back of his neck with his hand. The man broke into laughter, like Izuku had told a good joke, before calming down.
Yeah, good one, kid.
Before he could, Izuku slid a piece of plastic across the table, which that detective picked up curiously, and he watched the man, looked at the card, doing a double take, looking nervous, then settling on a confused expression.
This isn't you, the man told him.
Yes, it is, Izuku said, furrowing his brows at the man. His confusion. What was there to be confused about?
This is clearly not you, young man.
The detective sighed, tossing the piece of plastic back to the green-haired boy carelessly.
That's obviously fake.
Izuku sighed as he caught the tossed license. Yes, it is, and you can scan it. It's very much real, sir. Izuku politely told the man, because sometimes it's hard to bring people back from their delusions.
This is Hawks.
He pointed a finger at the younger man's face, unimpressed. Sir, I get that you may be a Hawks fanboy, but I am not Hawks, Izuku told him lightheartedly.
This is the license of the hero Hawks.
No, I don't think it is, Izuku pointed out, brilliantly helpful as usual.
Yes, it is. That's him in the picture. The quirk registration says Fierce Wings, which is Hawk's quirk.
Listen, as much as you want to imagine I'm Hawks, I'm not, so you can't just let me go.
Imagine. It clearly says it right there.
And there you go with the delusions again. Izuku muttered loudly enough for the other man, so he could hear.
Excuse you, I'm not having delusions.
The detective said angrily, spitting the last words with way too much venom for the undelusional man. Yeah, and I'm quirkless, Izuku mocked, rolling his eyes.
You are! You told me not even 10 minutes ago!
Let me get this straight. You think a quirkless kid could be a hero? Izuku asked, face clearly showing his unimpressed attitude. The man scoffed. Well, no, obviously. So then can you tell me why you think I, a hero, is quirkless? Izuku asked, narrowing his eyes at the other man. Because you said it! No, I didn't. My license clearly says I have a quirk.
It says Fierce Wings!
The detective exclaimed. Yes? Izuku gestured for the man to continue.
Why the hell are you looking at me like that?
You're not explaining the issue, which I don't seem to understand what it is.
You don't have wings!
He shot up from his feet, wildly gesturing at Izuku. Yes, I do. Are you all right? Izuku asked. He walked over to put a comforting hand on the clearly mentally ill man's shoulder, only to have his hand be shrugged off and met with another glare from him. Izuku sighed, shaking his head while looking down. What can you do? If someone mentally ill doesn't want help, they're not gonna get it.
You don't! I'm not fucking blind!
Sir, you need to sit down. I'm starting to believe you're hallucinating, Izuku suggested softly, trying to convey a calm presence to the possibly breaking down man.
No, I'm fine. You're crazy!
The teen hummed. Clearly the man was trying to pull some classic deflections on him. Good thing Izuku doesn't stand for manipulation. Why don't you sit down and follow my breathing? The man started to argue but stopped as his breathing became erratic. Izuku took his hands in his own and began to guide him to calm down. After a few minutes and the man's heart rate lowering, he'd calmed down enough to sit back down in the chair. Izuku got a bit worried at the blank look in the man's eyes. Detective? He called out, trying to garner the older man's attention. Or focus, at least. The detached look in the man's eyes worried Izuku, but he could recognize the familiar feeling. Knowing what helped him, Izuku headed out of the interrogation room and walked down the police's small staff kitchen to the police station's small staff kitchen, which he could now find thanks to learning the layout after the last time. He heated some water in the kettle, adding a tea bag, poured himself and the man a cup of tea. Walking back to the room, he got some very confused looks, and even worried ones, but he shot them a reassuring smile, which seemed to give everyone some relief. He opened the door and set the teacups down before quickly exiting to find the blankets they give to victims, which were luckily in a small closet nearby. He took one before exiting and walking back to the room. Returning for the second time, he wrapped the blanket around the dissociating man and put the teacup in the man's hand, who instinctively grabbed it. Izuku simply sat drinking his tea while he hoped the temperature of the teacup would bring ground to the poor detective. However, before he got to the opportunity of seeing if the hot cup would help, the door was thrown open. "Dad!" Izuku chirped happily, hopping out of the chair he'd been sitting in opposite of the detective. He watched the man's eyes scan the room, lingering in shock as the detective who was supposed to be arresting Izuku stared into nothing. And if he started doing his insane light Yagami laugh, interrupting himself repeatedly to giggle at his own antics, there was no proof. "So, little listener, who'd you kill? I doubt you did it for fun," Yamada asked, hands on his hips with a frown on his face, making Izuku wince apologetically. "There was a girl, and the guy who was definitely abusing her. It was a mistake, honest," Izuku quickly defended, waving his hands in front of his face. "How did you mistakenly kill someone?" "I wouldn't say that I killed him. He more did it to himself." He rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly at his poor explanation before adding more to his adoptive parents' unimpressed looks. "The girl didn't even see, and I gave her to Night Eye after." Apparently, Izuku said the wrong thing, because both Aizawa and Yamada looked at each other while the blood drained from their faces. Not knowing what to do, he continued. "The guy, I don't remember his name, was apparently some case he had going. I don't know, he didn't even hit me. I took the girl and started jumping around the alleyway to dodge these spikes from the ground, and next thing you know, he accidentally impaled himself. I got out right after." Izuku stopped talking as he saw the two start to look sick, seeming to know something Izuku didn't. "I'm gonna stop talking." Yeah, why don't you do that?" Aizawa said, while Yamada started rapidly making phone calls. Thank you so much for listening to this glorious gaslighting piece of fan fiction. It's just, yes, it was hilarious. It was perfect. I tried my best, really, to bring across the right emotions. And even the cat was being a little good luck charm by sitting on my lap while I was recording, even as I was flailing my arms. She's just a little treasure like that. Anyway, let's hope to hear us soon again. And if you liked my content, please like and subscribe, so you can be... what is it called? Oh my god, I forget words sometimes. Oh yes! It will notify you when I upload my next videos. See ya soon!